Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming, where the grim dark never sleeps. Crack open a bottle of Wild Snake and spark up a low stick as we take a journey down Underhive.
Today is a special day. We have new rules for Venator gangs in Necromunda. I have to say, this is probably the most exciting thing in Necromunda since Book of the Outcast, at least for me anyway. I find Venators and Outcasts previously the most exciting and most fun way to play Necromunda. I pretty much always play Outcasts or Venators in most of my campaigns. Venators needed updating. We had some stats that were a little bit old and some rules that were a little bit ambiguous. What we've got here is a new Apocrypha Necromunda. So if you go on the Warhammer community, download this. We not only have some cool lore, we have a new scenario and the new and updated rules for Venator gangs in Necromunda. It is the 15th of January and I feel like we're going through Christmas all over again. I'm incredibly excited, so I thought I'd have a shit shower and a shave, come down here, get my camera and my mic out and get straight onto another gang guide. Now what I'm going to do here today, because there's quite a lot to go through with this, there's a lot of stuff to take in. I'm going to need at least a week to process this. So what I'll do is a new Venator gang guide here today, but I'm going to do it in two parts. This first part will be exploring the new rules, how they work in campaigns, the new stats, the new costings, some of which I think are slightly out, but we'll go through that in a second. And then I'll do a second part next week where we go through some gang lists. I'm going to build a bunch of gang lists using these new rules and present them to you with a few different ideas on how you can run this new Venator list in your games of Necromunda. Before I get started though, please do like, share, subscribe, and check out the Patreon as well and keep me supported in this passionate endeavor. Now, I'm not going to go into the lore of Venators. There's no point in doing this. These are gang guides. We're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of the mechanics, the way that you build these gangs, the way they operate in Dominion and other campaigns, and the raw stats and the way that you can build Venator gangs in your games of Necromunda. The main reason why I would play a Venator gang is the almost endless customization and way of kit bashing and converting your own little gang with their own character and their own flavor and their own fluff. I think Venators and Outcasts are the best way of doing this. If you are, not so inclined to go to absolute town on kit bashing and painting and really going into the narrative of things, then a house gang is probably more preferable for you. It's probably a better starting point with Necromunda as well. But Venators give you so many opportunities, it is ridiculous. And with this update, we have a vastly improved gang. I would say that the tier list of Venators already was pretty high. They've now gone a lot higher and they're now arguably one of the best gangs in the game. Let's get straight into it though with gang composition here. So Venator gangs follow all of the usual restrictions and guidelines for creating a gang as described in the Necromunda core rulebook. No surprises there. Venators in Dominion campaigns and other campaigns as well. It really only highlights Dominion campaigns here because this is the sort of core main campaign that a lot of people play or base their campaigns on if they're an arbitrator. In a Dominion campaign, Venator gangs are treated just like any other. They begin the campaign with a settlement territory, which they cannot lose, which represents their base of operation. They can take control of unoccupied territories during the occupation phase, and they can seize control of territories from other gangs during the takeover phase. They claim territory boons just like any other gang. However, the way in which a Venator gang deals with enhanced boons will depend on the gang leader. This is detailed further on down below, and this depends on the background, the legacy of that gang leader that you choose, whether they're from House Talak or Escher or similar. Captured fighters. This is unique to Venators as they are a group of bounty hunters. They make cash from captured fighters. So a Venator gang will earn additional income for every enemy fighter captured and not rescued, which they will automatically sell to the guilders, or for any enemy fighters killed. When the Venators sell captives to the guilders, they earn the full value of each fighter in credits rather than the usual half. When an opponent the Venators have just fought deletes a dead fighter from their roster during the update roster step of the post-battle sequence, the Venator gang immediately claims half of that fighter's value, rounded up to the nearest 5 credits as a bounty. So the more killy you are, the more capturing you are, the more money you get. It's a nice little extra, and this mechanic is kind of the main sort of extra mechanic that we get for Venators, similar to something like, gene smithing for Goliaths or chem alchemy for Escher. It's not as fleshed out, but it is a nice little extra to have on these Venators. Venators. Skill access is another very customizable thing with Venators, and this remains unchanged from before. However, there is the omission of weird powers. There is no mention of making a Venator leader into a weird at all at any point. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think you can do that any longer. You used to be able to pay a little bit of credits to make your Venator leader a sanctioned psyker. You can't do that anymore. You cannot take weird powers. You can only take the normal skill trees. So agility, cunning, combat, ferocity, brawn, and whatever else there is. When creating a Venator gang, pick any 4 skill sets from Necromunda Core rulebook apart from leadership. Rank them from 1 to 4, 1 being the skill set that most embodies the way you envisage the band operates as a team. Each fighter's access to the skill sets is then determined by referring to the table below. This should be noted down separately. For a Venator Hunt leader, they get primary 1 and 2 plus leadership and secondary 3 and 4. The Hunt Champion gets 1, 2, and 3 as primary and 4 plus leadership as the secondary, and the Venator Specialist gets 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as a secondary. So you can take, on the Venator Specialist, for example, 2 primary skill sets and 2 secondary skill sets. So you might choose Ferocity and Shooting as your primary and maybe Cunning and Savant as your secondary skill sets there. In terms of hangers-on and dramatis personae, it is a little bit different here. Venator bands may hire dramatis personae and hive scum in the same way as other gangs. However, they may not hire bounty hunters apart from dramatis personae such as Grendel Grendelson. This is because they are already a tightly knit group of bounty hunters themselves and are very reluctant to split profits with outsiders, but they will make the use of local expertise where it suits their ends, and both dramatis personae and hive scum represent exactly this. So you cannot take generic bounty hunters. You can only take the dramatis personae or special character versions of bounty hunters, as they are more professional and can actually benefit your crew of bounty hunters. Note, however, that a Venator gang may not hire hangers-on, brutes, and dramatis personae who only work with certain gangs. So any of the dramatis personae that are locked to a certain gang, say the Eightfold Harvest Lord or the Headsman for Cawdor, you can't take those because they are specifically for those gangs. Next thing is gang legacy. Here's where things get a bit more interesting. Most fighters in a Venator gang have access to a gang legacy as detailed in their fighter profile. A fighter with a gang legacy adds additional weapons and war gear to their equipment list when added to the gangs detailed below. So if you have a Cawdor house legacy, you have the Cawdor Wordkeeper gang list access. So all of the stuff that a Cawdor Wordkeeper can get, you can give it to that fighter should it have the Cawdor gang legacy. Likewise, if you have an Ironhead squat legacy, yes, you can now do this. You can also have Ogryn legacy, by the way. You get the Ogryn Overbosses kit list, and you also get the Ironhead Squat Chartermasters kit list. So some really fancy stuff. I love the way that they've included Ironhead Squats and Ogryns into the actual gang legacy here, as well as the house gangs. A Venator Hunt leader or Venator Hunt champion may purchase status items or exotic beasts associated with their gang legacy when recruited. For example, a Venator Hunt leader with a Goliath gang legacy may purchase a Sumpcroc. There is no restriction on different gang legacies within a gang. A Venator gang may contain as many or as few as you wish. However, each fighter may only originate from one house. You can't have multiple gang legacies on one fighter for obvious reasons. Enhanced boons. If a Venator gang's leader has a gang legacy, then the gang may claim enhanced boons as if they were that gang. However, if the leader does not have a gang legacy, then the gang may not claim enhanced boons. Pretty straightforward there. If you have an enhanced boon on a Dominion territory that is just specifically for Delac, and your leader happens to also have a Delac legacy, then you will gain that boon. If they do not, you will not. Now, here is some new stuff, and this is where things get really exciting and gives you more modeling opportunities, as well as utilizing some of the beautiful kill team models for Beastmen, yes, Beastmen, and Rattlings. Rattling Venators. Yes, you can now take Rattling Venators, and they have special rules as follows. They have sniping. So this fighter may reroll hit rolls of a natural 1 when performing a shoot basic action after taking the aim action. So if you're using a basic weapon, it specifies a basic weapon here. If you take an aim action, you can re-roll a misfire of a 1, which is pretty damn good. It's situational, but it's going to help your overall shooting ability if you have Rattlings in your gang. The next one is sneaking, and this is great. You increase the hit penalty to make a shooting attack targeting this fighter while they're in cover by 1. So if you are in soft cover, it is harder to hit you. If you're on hard cover, it's -3. So these guys are very small and very sneaky, and that is a great little rule for the Ratlings here. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. The next rule is very thematic indeed and suits the Ratlings down to the ground. Their love of food is translated into the Necromunda rules here as slopping. At the end of the setup, the battlefield step of the pre-battle sequence, roll a d6 for each fighter. This rule that is in recovery. On a 6, a constant supply of good food has helped them recover more quickly. The fighters in recovery box on the gang roster is cleared, and they are now available for this battle. If the Venator gang also has a slopper hanger on, any Ratling Venators may roll once for this rule and once for the slopper. So it makes the slopper far more useful. Really cool to have. Again, it's not going to pop up too much. It's a 1 in 6 chance, but again, you make that even more with a slopper hanger on as well, especially if you have Big B Crumb attached to your gang or something like that too. The next thing, and something I'm even more excited about, is Beastmen. I absolutely love these abhumans. They are my favorite thing in 40k, pretty much. Beastmen, I've always loved them in fantasy. I've always loved them in 40k setting, ever since the old metal bounty hunter, Imperial Beastman with the chainsword and plasma pistol that I believe Gore Halfhorn is based on. These guys are now included in Venators as well in different capacities, and these are the special rules for Beastmen. The first one is Feral Warriors. Beastmen fighters increase their attack characteristic by 1 if they have suffered 1 or more flesh wounds. So if you suffer a flesh wound, you gain 1 attack for the duration of the battle. It's really, really good. You could even go to town on radding your own guys and giving them flesh wounds just to boost the attacks value as you charge these guys into combat. It's food for thought, and we're going to discuss some of those gang builds later. The next one is Friends on Conditioning, and I really like this one too. Again, it's very thematic here. A history of being considered disposable shock troops, often dosed with Friends on, has resulted in Beastmen becoming immune to the chem's negative effects. Beastmen fighters never suffer any side effects from using Friends on. That is colossally good and suddenly makes Friends on, buying the drug at least, very, very, very appealing indeed. Okay, so whereas we had 4 different profiles for the previous hunt leader in a Venator gang, we now have 4 sort of generic house profiles, as well as 1, 2, 3, 8 in total now. So instead of having 4, you've now got 8 Venator hunt leader profiles that you can choose from. So there are so many options here. We're going to go through all of the different options now. The first type of hunt leader that you can have is the house hunt leader. Now, you probably can guess, this hunt leader is one that has the background or the legacy of a certain house, be it Delac, Cawdor, Goliath, Escher, or any of those legacies that I mentioned above. The house hunt leader is 120 credits, and they have 4 different stat profiles to choose from. The first one is movement 5, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 3, wounds 3, which is the same as an Orlok leader, initiative 4+, attacks 2, and the mental stats of 6+, 5+, 6+, 6+. So great mental stats there. The call really standing out with a 5+, but 3 wounds and good all-round stats otherwise makes that leader very appealing indeed. I would say that's probably some sort of human leader similar to an Orlok leader in most cases. The next one's a bit slower, and it's movement 4, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 3. So a bit stronger than it is tough. I'm not sure what this is similar to, maybe a corpse grinder or some sort. We've also got wounds 2, initiative 3+, attacks 2, and 6+, 6+, 5+ on willpower, and 5+ on intelligence. So a little bit smarter, higher willpower, not as many wounds as the first profile, but that strength 4 is really nice to have there as well. The third profile is movement 4 as well, so a little bit slower again with a weapon skill 4+ and a ballistic skill 2+. So think Van Saar here. This is definitely a shooty stat line here. We've got strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 2, initiative 4+, attacks 1, 5+ leadership, 5+ cool, 6+ willpower, and 4+ intelligence. This one is definitely reminiscent of a Van Saar. We've got a very smart, shooty guy there with only 1 close combat attack and a ballistic skill of 2+. That one's fantastic if you want to go for a shooty hunt leader. The last one is movement 6, which is excellent. We've got an outcast leader with movement 6 and movement 7, I believe, but this one, the fastest you can get is movement 6 here, with a weapon skill of 3+, a ballistic skill of 4+, strength toughness 3, wounds 2, initiative 2+, which is excellent, a attacks profile of 3, which is excellent, leadership 7+, cool 6+, willpower 7+, and intelligence 6+. So the weakest on the mental stats there, very high attacks, very high movement, very high initiative, and pretty good in close combat overall with that weapon skill 3+. This one kind of reminds me perhaps of a Xenos bounty hunter, like an Eldar or something. Pretty cool with the extra movement and initiative there. I do like it. The House Hunt Leader special rules, again, they get the Venator Gang Leader special rule here. So the House Hunt Leader is subject to all of the rules associated with the Venator Hunt Leader, which we'll go through in a second. They also get the House Legacy baked into their cost. So here is different to the previous Venators where you actually had to pay for a House Legacy. Here, it's actually rolled into that 120 credit cost, which is, I think, a much better and cleaner way of doing Venators. So you could take any 4 of those stat lines and give them the weapons and war gear and equipment of any of those House Legacy Leaders kits, which is pretty cool. So a Cawdor Word Keepers list doesn't really stand out as one of the highlights there, but, you know, an Escher Queen or a Goliath Forge Tyrant or whatever they're called, the options are pretty good there. You know, giving a movement 6, 3 attacks person access to some pretty nasty weapons in close combat would be great. And yeah, that's pretty exciting already, right? Okay, the next one, and quite a surprise here, but an absolutely awesome addition here, is the Ogryn Hunt Leader. Yes, you can have an Ogryn Hunt Leader here. He has 155 credits, and the stats are as follows. We've got a movement 5, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 5+, typical of most Ogryn leaders. We've got strength and toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 3+, which is incredibly high, attacks 3, leadership 8, cool 5+, willpower 9+, and intelligence 8+. So I think off the top of my head, this is actually the same stat line as the Ogryn boss in an Ogryn gang, and you can have this guy as a leader and choose the skills you get on him. So you can give this guy nerves of steel straight up. You can give this guy some, you know, dodge if you really want to. You could give him some cunning skills like infiltrate. The options here are crazy, and we're going to go into that on the next video when I do my sort of, you know, gang list buildings thing. So we won't get into that too much now, the nitty gritty of it, but an Ogryn Hunt Leader, it's very appealing indeed. They get Ogryn Legacy as their house legacy, so you have to choose the Ogryn Legacy. You can't choose a Van Saar Legacy, but you can choose the skills that you get for this guy, which is a real highlight. The next one, of course, is a Squat Hunt Leader. So we've got all the Abhumans in this so far. We've got the Squat Hunt Leader, 130 credits. He has got movement 4, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 5+, 2 attacks, and mental stats of leadership 5+, cool 5+, willpower 5+, and intelligence 6+. So 130 credits, and I believe the same stat line as the Squat Prospector, master, the Charter Master there. So that's pretty cool. You've got a Squat Leader, you've got an Ogryn Leader, and the special rules that come with leaders apply to this one as well. Again, the House Legacy available for this guy is only the Squat House Legacy, which makes sense, right? We've got 2 more Abhumans to talk about here. We've got the Rattlings and the Beastmen. First off, the Rattling Hunt Leader is only 95 credits, so the cheapest option so far. The stats are kind of weird. He's movement 6, which is very fast for such a dumpy little guy, but it is what it is. Maybe that's a misprint. I would say that's quite fast for a Rattling personally. Weapon skill 4+, which is average. Ballistic skill 2+. So definitely a shooter. Strength and toughness 2, which fits the Rattling. With a wounds characteristic of 3. So even though he's not very tough, he can only take 2 flesh wounds and he's out of the game. He has got 3 wounds, which is quite nice. Initiative 2+, he's quite agile, and he's got 2 attacks with leadership 6+, cool 6+, willpower 6+, and intelligence 5+. So really good mental stats there. Again, he gets those Rattling special rules that we went through earlier. The last Abhuman leader type here is the Beastman Hunt Leader. 95 credits as well, and I think this is undercosted because the stats are far too good compared to the other ones for the same cost. Is the Beastman Hunt Leader here. 95 credits. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it should be a lot more expensive than the Ratling. And we're going to go into some of the costings here because I do feel there are some misprints in here. Hopefully we get an errata later on from Games Workshop. Hopefully they're listening to this and they see this, because the Beastman Hunt Leader isn't the issue in this new rule set. There is another one later on down the track that we're going to get into, which is severely undercosted. So far though, 95 credits for the Beastman Hunt Leader, and this for me is an auto take. I'm taking this guy as my Hunt Leader because his stats are movement 4, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 4, wounds 3, initiative 3+, and attacks 3. So a whopping close combat profile there. High strength, high toughness, very high wounds, very high attacks, decent initiative, and a decent weapon skill of 3+ there as well as pretty good at shooting, ballistic skill of 3+ too. The Beastman Hunt Leader's mental stats are leadership 7+, cool 5+, which is extraordinarily high, willpower 7+, and intelligence 7+. So the mental stats somewhat lacking other than the cool, but the rest of the stats are woefully undercosted for 95 credits if you compare it to the other leaders we've got in here. Obviously the Ogryn being 155 credits is probably about right, but the Beastman here I think is definitely undercosted. Again, the Beastman Hunt Leader gets the rules for the Beastmen, so he gets that Friends-on immunity as well as the Flesh Wound Frenzy sort of thing as well, but we don't get any sort of House Legacy here, which makes sense again because you get those special rules instead. So going into the Venator Hunt Leader special rules here, the first thing is Gang Leader. A fighter with this special rule may not retire during a campaign. For a Gang Leader, the only way out is death. Should this fighter die during the course of a campaign or otherwise be removed from the gang, for example, if a captured leader is sold to the Guilders, another fighter must be promoted to replace them, see Death of a Leader. So the next in line would be the successor in this case. The next one is Gang Hierarchy Leader. So this is the same as most leaders here. We have a bubble of 12 inches for cool tests and bottle checks and things like that. Champions get 6 inches. Leaders tend to get 12 inches on that. And additionally, this leader can perform post-battle actions just the same as most other gang leaders in the game. They also get tools of the trade, meaning that they can have different equipment sets, so you can give them different fighter cards with different loadouts if you wish. We then get group activation 2 as well, so this leader can bring along 2 other guys with him in his activations, which is pretty cool. The same as most other leaders in the game as well. Champions, again, we're going to get into them later, only get group activation 1 generally. So the next thing is equipment, and this remains unchanged from Venators before, somewhat. We previously had rarity levels for the actual equipment that you could take on your Venators depending on which level they were. So a leader got higher rarity than, say, a ganger, and that remains unchanged here as well. So the leader gets access to rarity 11 at the trading post items and below. So you can take anything up to rarity or illegality 11 and below. And, you know, of course, you've got that House Legacy thrown in there as well. So you can take any of the equipment on that House Legacy for the leader as well as the rarity from the trading post too, which is pretty awesome. Loads and loads of cool weapons and equipment that you can take for rarity 11. That's pretty high. Also, the Venator Hunt Leader has no restrictions on the type of weapons they can carry. That means they can take las cannons and whatnot too. Ogryn Leader with a las cannon? Why not? So that's the leader, a hell of a lot to chew through there, and this is why I'm splitting this video into 2 parts, because I really need some time to do some list building to see what I can come up with, because I think give me a week and I'll come up with some pure gold. The next thing is the House Hunt Champion. So we've got 4 stats that you can choose from here, as well as the Ogryn, the Squat, the Ratling, and the Beastman as well. Of course, the Champion is not quite as good as the leader, but you're going to take champions in your gangs because they're great, right? So the first 4 stat lines we've got for the House Champion, and the same rules apply here with the House Legacies and whatnot. They are baked into the cost here. 90 credits for the House Champion, and the stats are as follows. The first one is movement 5, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, wounds 2, initiative 4+, and attacks 2. We've got leadership 7+, cool 6+, willpower 7+, and intelligence 7+. So that's the most generic profile so far in the House Hunt Champion. We've then got 5, 4+, 3+, strength 4, toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 5+, attacks 2, leadership 6+, cool 6+, willpower 6+, and intelligence 5+. So a little bit better at shooting there with a higher strength and higher mental stats on the back end. We've then got the third profile, which is movement 4, weapon skill 4+, and ballistic skill 2+, similar to that Van Saar sort of profile we went through earlier. Definitely the most shooty of the bunch. Strength and toughness 3, 2 wounds, initiative 5+, and attacks 2, with a leadership of 7+, cool of 5+, and willpower 8+, and intelligence 8+. So not quite as good on the mental stats, but with cool really shining there. And of course, that nice, juicy ballistic skill 2+ there for a shooty champ. The last one is movement 6 as well, with weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 4+, strength and toughness 3. We've got initiative 4+, 2 attacks, and 7+, 7+, 8+, 8+ for the mental stats there. So pretty bad mental stats for a champion, that's for sure. But with that movement 6 and 2 attacks and weapon skill 3+, it's pretty nice for getting into close combat. Otherwise, I would say that's one of the weaker ones there. I quite like the shooty one, and I quite like the sort of generic one at the beginning there as well. But those are the house champion ones. They also get the house legacy, again, as mentioned before, baked into that 90 credit cost, which I think is great. So you can take equipment from any of those house legacies that you choose. The next one is the Ogryn Hunt Champion. This is 125 credits, so a bit of a reduction on the leader, but of course not quite as good. He's movement 5+, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 5+, strength and toughness 5, wounds 3, initiative 4, and attacks 2. We've got a leadership of 8+, a cool of 7+, which is not great again for a champion, willpower 9, and intelligence 9. So absolute garbage mental stats there, but it is an Ogryn. Really, you're looking at raw strength and power, and that's strength and toughness 5 with 3 wounds and weapon skill 3+. This guy's just going to maul people in close combat, especially when you give him some cheeky skills. The Ogryn Hunt Champion gets access to the Ogryn House Legacy and all of the rules around the regular champions in the Venator gang. We've then got the Squat Hunt Champion. Just like the leader here, we've got the same sort of outlines. We've got 95 credits for the Squat Champion here. Again, he comes baked in with the Squat Gang Legacy, and his stats are as follows. We've got movement 4, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, and 2 wounds, with initiative 5+, and attacks 2. His mental stats are leadership 6+, cool 6+, willpower 6+, and intelligence 7+. So Squat's definitely a lot smarter than Ogryns so far, and again, the same champion special rules that we're going to go through in a minute. The next one is the Rattling Hunt Champion for 50 credits, and pretty cheap, the price of an ordinary ganger. We get movement 4, weapon skill 5+, and ballistic skill 3+, so a little bit better at shooting again, but here's a Rattling. Strength and toughness only 2, wounds 2 though, initiative 3+, attacks 1, leadership 7+, cool 6+, willpower 7+, and intelligence 5+. So very good at doing smart stuff, and again, gets the special rules associated with Rattlings, but does not get a house legacy. And the last champion here is, of course, the Beastman Champion. Again, I think undercosted here for 50 credits, the same as the Rattling Champion here, with movement 4, ballistic skill 3+, weapon skill 4+, strength and toughness 4, wounds 2, initiative 4+, and attacks 2, leadership 8+, cool 6+, willpower 7+, and intelligence 8+ here as well. Again, you get the Beastmen special rules there, the immunity to Friends-On, as well as the flesh wound thingy, and you do not get a house legacy with this guy. Again, 50 credits is far too cheap for this champion, and I think they've seriously not looked at the costs for some of these guys in here, mainly just the Beastmen. How much would the Beastmen champion actually cost? I'd say at least the same as the Squat champion of maybe 95 credits, honestly. It's got to be about the same. The special rules that you get with the Hunt Champion are much the same. They have Tools of the Trade, Group Activation 1 instead of 2 for the leader, and skills, of course, they get to take 1 free skill when they're bought, which I didn't mention before. Of course, the leader, when you purchase them, they get 1 free skill from their primary skill set. Same with the champion. And you can take any of those skill sets, so you can really do some interesting and kind of broken combinations if you really want to go down that route. In terms of equipment here, you've got the House Legacy to think about, but you've also got Rarity 10 and below from the trading post, so 1 less than the Hunt Leader. It's pretty much the same amount of stuff that you're going to get there. There's only a few things that are Rarity 11 above Rarity 10, so you can really get access to some very nasty pieces of war gear and equipment here. There are also no restrictions on the weapon type here, again, so you can have a Beastman Champion with a plasma cannon or something if you really want to. Heavy weapons are absolutely the go here. Lastly, we then have the ganger types. Again, 8 different ganger types, and they are pretty much the same as before. The basic sort of ganger that you get here, the House Hunter is 50 credits, and the first stats are movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 4, and attacks 1. So the same stats as a Hive Scummer. However, the mental stats are leadership 7+, which is 1 better than a Hive Scum, cool 6+, which is 2 better than a Hive Scum, willpower 7+, which is 1 better than a Hive Scum, and intelligence 7+, which is also 1 better than a Hive Scum. So basically 50 credit Hive Scum with better mental stats, and of course access to the house legacy as well. The next stat line is 4 movement, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 5+, with a strength of 4 and a toughness of 3. We've got 1 wound, initiative 5+, and 1 attack, with a 6+ leadership, 6+ cool, 7+ willpower, and 6+ intelligence there as well. So not a great fighter, high strength but low ballistic skill. Again, that's a close combat profile, but with only movement 4 and for 50 credits, it's not that great really. You know, it's not my favorite one so far. The third one here is movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3+. So this is more like a Vansar Ganger again. Strength and toughness 3, wounds 1, initiative 5+, attacks 1. So the same stat line as a Vansar Ganger here, with a 7+ leadership, 6+ cool, which is great, willpower 8+, and intelligence 9+, so not quite as smart as a Vansar there, but a decent stat line if you want to go for a more shooty sort of baseline gang. That's probably the one that stands out so far for me. And the last one is movement 6. So again, we've got a very fast fighter here with average weapon skill of 4+, ballistic skill of 5+, strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, initiative 3+, and attacks 1, with 6+, 6+, 6+, 7+ as the mental stats there. So pretty good mental stats on that one. So yeah, the last 2 profiles there probably the most appealing for me and the most sort of cost effective when you bake in that 50 credit cost. Of course, you do get that house legacy for free, which is pretty cool here. So you do get access to one of the 6 house gangs. We then, though, have an Ogryn Ganger, which is 105 credits. The Ogryn Ganger is movement 5, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 5+, strength and toughness 5, 2 wounds, initiative 4+, and attacks 2, with terrible mental stats of 8+, 7+, 9+, and 9+. But again, same as the Ogryn Ganger. I believe the stat line here is the same as the Ogryn Ganger. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but 105 credits. It's definitely worth it for a 2 wound, strength 5, toughness 5 guy. You also get access to the Ogryn House Legacy here as well. You then get the Squat Ganger, who is 55 credits, movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, toughness 4, wounds 1, initiative 5+, and attacks 1, with a leadership 7+, cooler 6+, willpower 6+, and intelligence 7+. So again, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think that's the same as the Squat Ganger for 55 credits, and they must take the Squat Gang Legacy as well for their equipment and stuff. And of course, we then get the Ratling and Beastmen Gangers as well. The Ratling is movement 4, weapon skill 5+, ballistic skill 4+, which is not particularly great, strength and toughness 2, wounds 1, initiative 3+, attacks 1, leadership 7+, cool 7+, willpower 8+, and intelligence 5+. However, they're 20 credits. So yes, the stats are a bit crap, but really this is your Juve. This is the guy you're going to take to fill out those Juve slots in your gang. Average ballistic skill, it's like a Vansar Juve really, but of course, toughness 2 can be a little bit hard at times. However, you get those cover bonuses, you get the slopper bonuses, and you get the shooting bonuses as well. So pretty good. The Ratling Ganger, I think for 20 credits is definitely good value there. The last one, and this one is absolutely woefully undercosted and clearly a misprint, is the Beastman Ganger. Now the Beastman Ganger here is again the same cost as the Ratling Ganger. For 20 credits, these are the stats you get. Movement 4, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 1, initiative 4+, attacks 1, leadership 9+, cool 6+, willpower 8+, and intelligence 8+. That, as written, is the best ganger in all of Necromunda. It's not even close. It's so much better than a Corpse Grinder Initiate, it hurts. 20 credits, and sure, they don't come with any equipment, but it's a Beastman. So they get those special rules for the Friends on. They get the special rules for the Flesh Wound thing. They've got strength and toughness 4, higher than average weapon skill. Yes, they're only movement 4 and they have average ballistic skill, but for 20 credits, it's wrong, right? It's clearly wrong, and hopefully Games Workshop errata that soon and make it about 50 credits at the very least, perhaps maybe even 60 credits. Now, when your gang is founded, you can have a gang specialist like most other gangs. That means that the gang specialist gains XP in a different way, more like a champion or a leader, so you can customize that guy a little bit more. They can also take special weapons as well. Tools of the trade is another rule for Venators. So Venators, even the baseline gangers get tools of the trade here, so you can have various equipment sets for your Venators too to represent the fact that they are bounty hunters and professional killers. In terms of the access for these guys as well, they get rarity 8 and below, so a little bit lower than the champion of 10 and the leader of 11, but rarity 8 is still pretty good. You can get some good stuff for that. Of course, add to the rarity, you've also got the house legacy there as well, meaning that you've got a lot of stuff that you can cover with your gangers. Otherwise, a Venator hunter may only be equipped with basic weapons, pistols, close combat weapons, and war gear. However, the Venator specialist has no restrictions on the stuff they can take, meaning they can take special weapons and indeed heavy weapons too. So there's an awful lot to chew through there. This is a brand new thing. It only came out this morning, so I haven't had a huge amount of time to really get my thinking gear around it. But like I said, I'm going to split this into 2 parts. I'm going to come back next week with another video on some gang list builds and see what I can actually do with these guys once I've customized everything in Yak Tribe. It's going to take me a while to do that because we've got 8 fighter types for each type. So you've got 8 leaders, 8 champions, and 8 gangers. However, I just have to reiterate, this is an incredibly exciting moment. We have the most customizable gang in the whole of Necromunda fully available here. Yes, there are some cost adjustments that need to be done here. I could make some suggestions on those Beastmen prices, but I think it's down to the community and the arbitrators out there to rule how much things should cost, and if there are any sort of rules ambiguity in there. I can't see anything wrong elsewhere. Of course, the omission of weird powers on the leader is a bit of a shame, but I think from a fluffy sort of narrative perspective, it's fine because you can do that with outcasts. So, you know, what you've got with Venators is a far more elite band of professional killers. With outcasts, you've got a ragtag bunch, and I think having a weird as a leader in an outcast gang or a champion that is a weird as well is pretty nice. Here, you can't do that, which is it's just fine. I'll accept that, but I'm just so happy that you get access to Beastmen, Ratlings, Ogryns, and Squats in your Venator gangs officially. This is just fantastic modeling opportunity, and I think all of you guys out there that have been into Necromunda for a while and you enjoy kit bashing and going about your business, making a really narrative, fluffy gang, we've now got what we really wanted with Venators, a fully fleshed out and awesome abhuman bunch of professional killers. The whole thing's very exciting and there's a lot to take stock of. I'm really excited about doing my next list builder competition at the end of the year because I reckon at least half of the gangs in there are going to be Venator lists. There's just so many options, it hurts me to think about. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to wake up, they're going to see this, and they're going to go straight to their bits box and start kit bashing some new Venators. So this is an exciting time for Necromunda, and I'd like to say thank you to Games Workshop for doing this. Clearly, the guys there are really into the game and into the kit bashing element as well, and of course want to sell more Kill Team boxes because you can buy those Felgor Ravagers or the Ratlings that came out recently, to name but a few. Anyway, I'll be back with the second installment in this video next week, so stay tuned for that. Peace out.